Obviously, it would be great to get an update on Hugo Keenan. Obviously, he picked up his knee injury at the weekend. How is he, and have you any update on that injury?
He didn't train today, but he hasn't been ruled out for the Welsh game yet. He's progressing with his rehabilitation. He was there at training today, and I suppose he took part in all the organisational bits, but I've no full update. He's still available for selection for Wales, but I'm not sure what will happen in the next few days.
If he was to miss out, like, it's a fairly big role to fill for the team, considering how much he offers and however present he's been over the last 3.5 years.
Yeah, he plays a big role. He's obviously, he's been injury free for a long time. He's an excellent player, and there's so much, I suppose, in full-back and covering the backfield defensively, and he has a lot of work to do in attack as well, in I suppose, recreating our attack by moving from side to side. So there's a lot of, I suppose, IP there that we were to miss, that we might miss out on if he wasn't playing. He also plays a big leadership role as well for us. He's a very smart guy. He's a problem solver within the group. He's highly regarded within the group. So, whether he's there or not, he'll continue to play that role. It's probably good for us in some ways, because it makes us play someone else there if he doesn't make it. But as I said, I'm not sure yet. I don't pay as much attention to the backs, but I'm not sure yet where he's at. As I said, he was around training today, so we'd be hopeful.
And then just the last one for me, I could see pictures of Gary Ringrose out on the training pitch at least. Is he on track to be available next week?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, he trained today. We didn't do a massive session today, but he trained today and is in good shape.
Great. Thanks, Paul.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. If you could raise your hand, please, if you've got questions to ask. Gavin, Casey, do you want to jump in? Okay, Daniel, if you want to jump in instead.
Yes, sir.
No. Go on, Gavin. Go on.
I couldn't find it. Paul, it was obviously a challenging time for the line-out during the World Cup, and since then, in the first two games, you guys have been spotless, like 25, 30-odd line-outs. I was just wondering, could you give us an insight into how you actually worked on that, how the line-out has improved over the last fortnight?
Well, France having a red card for one of their second rows helps, certainly. Willemse probably isn't a big jumper for them, but he's certainly a big lifter, and it would have upset how they would have defended. So that certainly helped. Italy haven't challenged as much in the air in recent years as other teams have. So that's part of it. We haven't changed a massive amount. I'd say we're doing what we do a little bit better, across the board. How we lift, how we jump, how we call, how we throw, and all those things contribute. I think when we, in the World Cup, certainly in that South Africa game, they threw something different at us. We got our drill a little bit wrong, and it led to a poor start to the game. Once we got over that, we were pretty much fine for the rest of the game. New Zealand got 3 lineouts off us in that game. 2 we got back straight away. 1, unfortunately, we high tackled from, and we ended up in our corner. So they're 2 very good defensive lineouts, those 2 teams we played in the World Cup, and we learned a lot. We learned a lot from those games in terms of, I suppose, one of them was being able to manage being in a little bit of trouble and trying to get out of it. And the other thing we learned from the World Cup is it's like every part of your game. It's never just one thing. Very often, there's drill in it, there's the call in it, there's the thrower in it, there's the selections you've put on the menu first day, and I would say we've kind of improved a little bit in all those regards without working on one particular thing.
I think probably most of us would see that not a huge amount has actually changed since the World Cup, because it didn't need to, right? If it ain't broke and all of that. But aside from those slight adjustments to the line out, what do you feel you guys have progressed in? Like, where are the changes, the subtle changes that maybe we wouldn't spot on a weekend?
As I said, it's not just one thing. I think, having the right menu before the game is important. Then calling the right calls in the game is important. Our drill is really important. Our lift, our jump, the speed we do things at is important. And obviously the throw, is important as well. And that's probably been the pleasing thing for me, is there's just been a general improvement across the board in how we've gone about our business. It hasn't been one thing, and that's the thing that I would have identified after the World Cup. There wasn't one thing we could put our finger on that caused problems. It was a little bit of everything. And sometimes I think when you're preparing for games and you've a lot of things to work on. You've the breakdown, you've attack, you've defence, you've kick-off, you've restarts. Sometimes you can lose track of what's really important, and very often the important things are the most simple things, and that's what we've done with line-out. We've made sure we looked after the important stuff, and it's led to a good start, and hopefully that continues.
Thanks.
Cheers, Paul.
Daniel, then Rory, please.
Sure. Hi, Paul. I saw stats that Ireland have made twice as many short passes as any other team in the Six Nations. Some passes not even going a meter. I wondered if you could maybe talk about the evolution of this tactic. Has this, been a skill that the players have already brought on? Is that come from your mind? Can you maybe just talk a bit more about that?
I wouldn't have known that stat. I'm trying to think why that would be. I suppose our forwards are very good at short passing, and that's what we ask them to do a lot more so than other passes. They very often our forwards work in groups of three. They've short passes inside, outside, to backs behind. I presume that's where the majority of those short passes are coming from. Short passes are probably coming from when we're very close to the line as well, when you probably don't want to take so many risks. I don't think it's a conscious change of tactic by us by any means. I would say if we make more short passes now, I would say we probably made more short passes 6 months ago as well. And very often when we do end up close to the line a lot against an opposition team, no different to any other team, we probably end up making a lot of short passes as well. So that's the only reason I can give you that is probably related to it.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, and that continuity. Everyone's talking about Ireland in the full. As the forwards coach, it must feel really good to have everyone picking up your side of the game, as it were.
Well, I think everyone coaches the forwards in here, So Simon Easterby coaches the forwards in defence quite a lot, coaches them in the breakdown quite a lot. Mike Catt will coach the forwards quite a lot in attack, as I would and John Fogarty would. So we've a very good group here, very experienced group, and it's quite settled. That's one of the things I suppose that you begin to appreciate. When you have a settled group, you can layer things on every time we come together. You're not starting from scratch every time you come together, and you can get better and better at the simple things you're doing. So I think that's one of the things you might see in club sides, where each year there's a turnover of players and they probably have to go back to the start a little bit. We're lucky in that we've had continuity of coaching and continuity of players, and then continuity of how we're trying to go about our business as well. I suppose tournament on tournament and year on year, and because of that, I think we managed to improve every time we come in. So the forward group are in a good place at the moment, but I think the tournament probably gets harder from here for us.